let's take a look at our friend GRT. This is one, I put a video out on this one on Friday, and we've been following it. TI as well has been following it in the Discord for even longer. If we go back about 6 candles, that was about when we put the video out, so 6 days ago from today, and since then it's up about 25%, a really nice 25%. And you can see this bit of pattern in here, and we broke out of it, hooked back on it, beautiful, and we got going. This is a great thing to see, especially if you're setting up a move here. Now let me change the color so we can see this a little bit better. If we measure the pole of our flag going into the pattern and we measure coming back out of it, we can expect for them to hit where they just hit. Now that they've done it, they may pull back a little bit. However, we don't have to. Some of these moves have gone straight to the 1.618. Some have gone to the 1 and turned around. If you're in this and you have made the 25% since last week, if you got in on Friday when the video came out on YouTube, what do you do now? Well, you have a few options. The most conservative option would be to go over to something with your break-even calculator and calculate, okay, I've made 25%, so I need to sell 80% of my position and I can keep the rest for free. What does that look like? If I put $1,000 into this position, it moves up 25%. I'm up 250 bucks. So I'm at 1250 total for my position. I would sell 1,000, right? Which is 80% of my position now. Keep the $250 worth of GRT, totally risk-free. Then if they pull back, I can add to it again. If they keep going, I'll just take the pure profit later. They've still got the potential to double that money afterwards. So if you held on to 20% of your position and they doubled it, you're going to make 40% off of your initial without any risk at all if you took it out. So that is a very conservative but prudent move in this kind of a condition, because if Bitcoin pulls back and shuts everything down, you're going to be really happy to have that capital on the side and still have your risk-free profit. Of course, you don't have to. Another strategy you could use is pull your stop loss up to break even. If you're not ready to take that profit, if you're not ready to take your risk off of the table for this one, a simple method you can use is pulling your stop loss up to wherever you got in, so that if the market turns back around and goes lower, you simply get out without any losses or any gains at all. Now, if we look at the Bitcoin side, this is a really healthy pop-up out of the flag, and there's room left. There's still room left on the Bitcoin side, even if you're just considering this flag pattern, because we haven't finished it all the way up to that 786. So you're looking at a potential 15% or so more. And what that would look like over here is us creeping up towards the 1.618. And if they do that, I would expect for them to maybe pop up, pull back, and get going again. And that would look something like this, one of those guys. So let's keep an eye on this one. Very happy to see them moving even while Bitcoin is doing not really a whole lot of anything. And you can see this is one of the few on our watch list, this one and Hard, that are still kind of pushing today when the others are pulling back a little bit with Bitcoin sideways action. So keep an eye on GRT. If you're in it, great. Figure out a way to strategize how you can exit if you need to if Bitcoin shuts down. Hard is pushing off of what we had hoped would be a potential bottom. It still needs to break up above this area to really say, okay, it's fighting a bottom, get up out of this downtrend and turn it around. But this is a good sign so far, nice, healthy development. And we can see on the Bitcoin side, kind of creeping out of this really localized downtrend here. If they can pop up and get going inside this channel, that will look good on the USD side and USDT side, excuse me. And there's a potential there for a little bit more of a move. Jasmy, kind of stuck in this range. This is kind of ahead of what some of the others are doing. If you consider this kind of downtrend here, breaking up kind of in the flag like some of the others are doing, it's harder to see on the day chart. Maybe that's a little bit clearer. Some people would say there's your downtrend. Totally good argument for that case there. And actually probably even a better alignment because it takes into account the entire downtrend. And then they popped up, They found support on it and they got going. And you can see this healthy 1.618 hit, very, very readable fib type of action here. They have not broken up towards the top of this range. And you can see now, I wouldn't call this a head and shoulders. It's very sloppy, but you can see that kind of 3 times attempt at getting up and each time kind of getting a little bit lower. So potentially they may instead break this one down and head back to clean this area up before they turn it back around. And that may look like a big flag pattern, which would make a whole lot of sense. So keep an eye on this one. I would not be buying it just yet if you're not in it already. I would wait for them to come all the way back, hopefully to the 2-cent area, mid 2-cent area. And that's where I would be looking for an entry if I didn't already have one. Now, if I had one from somewhere down below and I didn't take profit already, so let's pretend you bought the breakout there and it broke out, you took a little position, you're up 100%. For me, if you didn't take profit yet and you're up 100%, I don't even think about this one twice. I would sell half of it, take my initial capital out and wait for the retracement. And if we look at the Bitcoin side, there's your potential retracement there, about 15-20%. That instantly takes you down to about here, right above the 786. And if that takes place while Bitcoin's doing a 10% retracement, boom, there's your cleanup at the 618. So this one is one that I would watch for them to retrace. They've held this bottom of this range twice now. It's likely the next time if Bitcoin turns around, they won't hold it again. KNC making the move back to the trend line. Nice. That's kind of what I would like to see. They didn't quite make it all the way up to that top area. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin side. Yeah, they did not break that top. Now they've made a lower high. So for me, this is less likely. For me, what's more likely is they come back down to the trend line, maybe eke under it, maybe do some kind of a freak out a little bit. That's a solid 15-20% area. So that coincides with Bitcoin doing a nice retracement. And if they came all the way back down to this fib, it would look even better. There's your 382 fib. You can see they came all the way back towards the 236 after they poked the 382. So now that they've hit the 50 and they're pushing back under it, it would not surprise me to see them come back and tap the 382. Then they can set up to go and get the 618 and possibly retrace a bit higher. So KNC doing a bit of a healthy retracement. Now OGN is the other chart we looked at last Friday and that we looked at through the week. If we go back a few candles, let's go to the day chart here and let's kind of check in with where we were on that Friday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we were sitting down here. We're still up about 5%. They peaked at about 23% up from that entry. Now that they're retracing, if you took that entry on this one and you weren't in it from below, and when I mentioned this one, I mentioned that OGN was further along than GRT. GRT was still kind of back in the first initial pop-up. OGN, more developed, more likely to retrace back to this level. So if you got in early and you didn't wait for the retrace, this is the opportunity where you can say, maybe I need to put my stop at break even, or maybe I take my 5% and get it off the table. You know, there's, even though it sounds a little asinine, if you're new to trading and you're looking for 25, 50, 100% gains, and right now you're up only 5%, 6%, you can still sell 95% of your position, keep the other 5% and wait and see if the market retraces for you. Then you have a much more favorable entry in a cleanup area that makes a lot of sense. Do not be afraid to get out of the way when Bitcoin is in a stuck area if you have an opportunity to get back in a more favorable spot, especially while you're still up and you can make the decision. So OGN may be looking to retrace, and you can see on the Bitcoin side, at least a little 10%, which would coincide with, say, Bitcoin retracing about 5 to 10%, which would get you all the way back down roughly to that 236, where I won't be surprised to see them creep back down, tap it, and then look to turn around. They're already coming back in now. So if you're in this one and you got in late, consider what you're doing, consider the risk below.